You see that first, this is our concrete guy, Nathan. He's excellent, one of the best ones in town. And the first thing is we are trying to pour because Park City today gave us a lot of headache with the amount of cars parked on the street. And because of the snow, for snow removal, it will be much easier. So we're trying to pour as soon as we can so the work can progress beautifully. But at the same time, we don't want to avoid problems. So I'm talking to the expert here. First, number one, there are some days that the temperature might hit as low as 28. We don't want to pour on that day, right?
No. We want to be at 32 degrees throughout the middle of the night. And so what we would do if we see a day at 40 degrees and then throughout the night it's going to be 32 degrees, that we want to have this ready, prepped, ready to go so that when we see a day 32 degrees or better, we're going to get an early pour and get that done. We'll follow all the rules with Anderson Builders. I'm going to bring you guys out here. I'm going to show you our prep. I'm going to show you that we went, depending on what you want. If you want us to go 24-inch center on the rebar, we'll use a number 3 rebar. We'll dial into here, and then we'll have all the compaction right. We'll have all the drains exactly how you want. We'll have the steps how you want. We're going to walk you through the entire project. We're going to show you that everything's on a 1.5% slope away from here or back into the drains or channel drain, however you want to get it done. Another suggestion, we're going to compact it over and over again until it feels like we're jumping on cement. We're going to form it all up, and then we'll have you come and approve everything before we pour. We're going to put extra calcium in it. Just another suggestion so that you can let your homeowners know. You know, I employ about 50 people. I recruited over 500 men. All of my finishers will be 10 years plus that are on this job. We're going to put a 6.5 bag in. I'm going to add microfiber to the concrete. It's an extra additive to give it strength. And then we'll put extra calcium in. And if you want, we can go every 6.5 feet on the joiners. Definitely would suggest wet cuts, not saw cuts. But it's up to your client, whatever they want. If they want something a little custom.
I think that this will be a question. What's the difference between the wet cut and the soft cut on the joint?
So we're going to go an inch deep. The wet cuts are just a little bit thicker, like on your typical driveway. A saw cut, we would wait for the day. There's risk when you do a saw cut. Saw cuts are a little bit more custom. It's what we do with all of our sport courts. But the saw cut is a very thin cut, and we're going to go every 6.5 feet on that. So when the concrete does crack, it will stop at that cut or the wet cut.
At this point, we can send a picture to show the difference between a wet cut or saw cut.
Yes.
But those are finishing details that matters to the client, and we don't want to make that decision. Both Nathan and the other concrete companies, we had 5 other concrete companies bidding here. We're talking about cracking, because when we pour concrete at this temperature, I am worried that it's going to crack. That's why I wanted to wait until next spring. Nathan thinks that this is nothing that any concrete company should be able to guarantee.
No.
That it doesn't matter when we pour, there might be cracks. So can we elaborate on that?
Yes, I definitely can enumerate on that. So concrete cracks, that's what it does. And I know that's not what people want to hear after they spend money. We follow all the rules, all the codes. That's why we have thousands of testimonials. We do about 300 pours a season. But if somebody tells you if it's 70 degrees and the concrete's not going to crack, or it's springtime and it's not going to crack, that's baloney. Concrete cracks, that's why we have joints. And it gives it relief, so when the concrete hits that joint, it will stop right there. However, we're all about building relationships, especially with a company like you, and homeowners and builders, we get lots of repeat business because we guarantee concrete. For 1 year, the state of Utah makes us guarantee it for a year. If it ever sunk, I would have to replace it. Hairline cracks, they could happen. Now, I want to also enumerate on cracks because if I could put a 50-cent piece in that crack, I'll come out and cut out that square. I don't want to because this is going to be all heated, so I just got to get it done right. But there's also a couple things that the homeowner and builder needs to know when it comes to cracks. Sometimes people are in such a rush, they run out of their house. I know this is going to be heated, but let's say they drove on ice. And then it gets warm again, and that ice is gonna scald because that person drove on ice on their brand new driveway, and it got warmer, and that ice took a layer off on the top, so then it eventually creates spalling. Also, homeowners and builders, they're in a hurry. They hurry up and they salt their driveway. Salt's no good, even if it says guaranteed not to crack or spald. I had a customer one time, the next day put spalding down, and within 2 days the whole thing was spalding. So you got to make sure that you protect your driveway, you protect your investment. But it's very important who you do business with. And the public has spoken for Concrete Cowboy of Utah. We have over 100 5-star golden reviews, 5-star reviews. We have thousands of testimonials of people's truth working with the Concrete Cowboy of Utah. We didn't get here by accident. We got here by hard work. You know, doing business with honor. That's who you're doing business with. Most people call me again and again and again to do their concrete. And
No, we have no questions. You're good. That's why you're
Yes.
here. So summing up the cracking, if it's a hairline, it's common.
yes,
There isn't much that we can do. Actually, there are lots of things that we can do, which is the joints. So we're gonna have joints on every 6 feet.
And
Yes.
also, can we talk about the color and hiding
Yes.
those cracks?
But the crack, if it's bigger than a hairline, I mean, if a 50 cent, if a
Piece.
coin can fit in there, then they'll replace it.
yes.
Color, before we tore this apart, they used to have staining the concrete. They had color on their concrete. So what's your suggestion?
So a couple things to look at. Also on the cracking part, I would highly suggest they seal their concrete as well. You know, that they seal it. And it's a 5-year sealer. And every year every 5 years they seal their concrete, and that absorbs the water in. It prevents cracking. It's not guaranteed, but sealing your driveway is very important. And I can get you the owner so that it doesn't cost that much to get it sealed every 5 years. We'll show the homeowner once how to do it, or the builder once, and it's up to the homeowner what they want to do. Now, as far as color goes, this is a big enough job. We would be honored to do this job. We would give you the color for cost. It's roughly, as long as you don't pick this, we had a customer pick a green color, and it was like almost $150 a yard. So this is going to be about $50 per yard, and this is 20 yards. So a lot of families up here, they get silver smoke. It's like a darker color, and it also cosmetically will not 100%, but it could hide cracks. It could hide, you know, driveway's going to get beat up. And also, if they want their driveway not to just look like this, and they want this to be a focal point, I would highly suggest, you know, maybe going with the sandstone, maybe going with the silver smoke. If they want to stamp it, they can stamp it as well. We could do a stamp like that. We could do an Italian slate. These are all options the homeowner can have. However, with stamping, there's a lot of wear and tear that happens. It looks really pretty for the first 10 years, but then after that, they just have to maintain it more. If they go simple and just a color, then it's less maintenance if they just go a color.
Okay. So last thing, to you and the owner at the same time, that's
Yeah.
one thing that we noticed today is that the concrete level is raising a lot. So we put a laser line here today, and we noticed that the concrete is probably going to be at this level right here of the rocks. So either you or us, we need to remove all those first layers of rock right here and reinstall it afterwards. I thought about just pouring the concrete against it, but if they ever decide to change the rocks, if they ever decide to do anything in the future,
Okay.
then that's a problem. So that's one thing. It's an added cost that we need to remove all those first stones right here, so concrete company can pour, and then we can reinstall those stones over here.
Okay. And William, when we cut this, do you see any problems here with this falling if we cut this?
Yeah, it could be like, anything could be cracked or.
No. We wouldn't cut. We would
Okay.
remove the full piece on the bottom. Yeah.
So
Okay.
like,
And you guys have to do. I have to have my guys do it and have it ready for you
Okay.
guys. So we would remove the full piece,
Okay.
so we can reinstall the full piece, and then one by one they'll do their
okay.
thing.
Okay.
It'll be better that way. And we might need to do. No, we'll be able to install on top of the
on
ground.
top
Yeah.
of the. on top
Can
of
you give me your vision right here? Is there going to be a man door right